Today we're looking at the control term test of 2023. It was set up out of 100 marks and we're going to look at the first question right now. So the first question there we have 16x to the power of 2 minus 1. We can do this on very different ways, but the most important is how we could have done this is we could have identified that this is actually the difference of two squares, because 16x squared is a square as well as 2 squares, and then I'm going to get the square root of 16 is equals to 4x and 4x and 1 and 1. Then I get a positive there and a negative there. What I have now is called a zero product. So I know that 4x plus 1 is equals to 0, or 4x minus 1 is equals to 0. So now we have 4x equals to negative 1. So that means x is equals to negative 1 over 4. Or we could have said 4x is equals to 1 and x is equals to 1 over 4. There is a shorter way. I'm showing you. This with the grade 10 basics, because factorization was actually grade 10 work. The other way how you could have done this, and this is where the 3 marks were allocated, it is by the 2 answers and also for the method that you used. You could have gotten 3 marks if you use the other method. For example, if you said 16x squared and you take the 1 over, it becomes 1 on the other side. But now you need to say x squared, you divide by 1 over 16, like that, and then we want to not solve x squared, but we want to solve x, so we put it under a square root, so that becomes x is equals to, and this is the important part that many of our learners forgot or tend to forget, and that's why I don't prefer this method. So you need to include, it's a plus minus of the square root of 1 over 16, and that gets me to plus minus 1 over 4. That also could have gotten you to the 3 marks there. The next one that I have there, it is fairly a simple one, so we can just go to the answers. No? So the answer there, this is what we call, you can tell me, this is actually called a zero product. Now, if there was a number on the other side, I couldn't have done this. But because it's 3 products on the left-hand side, and on the other side I have a 0, I can now say all of these products technically needs to be equals to 0. So I have 3 marks that I can get. Let's make sure we get all our marks. So we're going to say the first one is x is equals to 0, or 2x plus 1 is equals to 0, or 3x plus 4 is equals to 0. So the first one I don't have to change anything. This one, the 1 goes over, so that's 2x is equals to negative 1. So my final answer is negative 1 over 2. This one is going to be 3x, 4 goes over, it becomes negative 4, and then my answer is going to be x is equals to negative 4 over 3. Next question is 3x to the power of 2 minus 12x plus 12. Now, I teach my learners in grade 11, when you see to the power in the brackets in a grade 12 paper, they will always give you a hint, correct to 2 decimal places, and then don't even go try and factorize, so you can immediately go from there and go to, if it's a quadratic equation, but it needs to be a quadratic equation and it needs to be in standard form, which is there, you can go and use the discriminant. So I would use the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is your first formula on your formula page. So go write down the following for yourself. It's going to be b squared minus 4ac. What is the b value? the b value is negative 12 plus, minus 4, a is 3, and b and c is 8. Now I go immediately to my calculator, I type it in. What do I get? If I type that into my calculator, what do I get? $48. Thank you. Alright, so my answer is 48. Now I go and write out my quadratic formula, and I know this is solvable, and my answer is going to have 2 irrational roots. So the quadratic formula is again negative b plus minus the square root of the discriminant over 2a. I am going to, in my next step, I'm going to substitute. If I substitute there, what is the values? Can you just give me the values of b and a, please? So the value of b is positive 3. No? Sorry, 12. So that positive 12? Negative 12? Is it minus 12? Alright, so it becomes positive 12 plus minus the square root of 48 over 2 times 3, which equals to 6. Now I go to my calculator. So hello calculator, I punch that into my calculator. I just go fetch my calculator. Right, so I see a lot of the grade 11s, they're typing this. It's fairly new to them. I know my grade 12s won't make the same mistakes, but just for them. If you're watching this, welcome to the video. Having an early start in the grade 12 work. Now we're saying, I type it as is there, 2 times 3, and then I get my answer, which is written like that. No? Now they ask me to round it to correct 2 decimal places. I press the SD button there, then I get my answer is going to be 3,154. Alright, so because if the number after that would have been greater than 5, then it would have been 16. So I write there x is equals to 3,15, and now I don't even go back, and I go there and I just type delete and change that to a negative sign, and then I get my answer, my second answer, which is x is equals to 0,85. Alright, you get penalized if you don't do the rounding correctly. So please, that's why I'm doing it so slowly. I know you guys have done this numerous of times, but you get penalized. If you have a newer calculator, no? Let me quickly show you how you can do a sum like this as well on the newer or on the expensive calculators. So you go there, mode. If you go press 5 for equation, you choose the third option. You just need to have it in standard form. You substitute there 3 into the place of a, alright, and then b is going to be negative 12, and then c is going to be 8, and then what it gives you is it's giving you the roots, which we just determined. So it gives me the same answer that we got now. No? And it also, so that's the 2 roots, root 1 and the root 2. That's the other one. And nice thing, it gives you the minimum value, because in essence this is most a function. What kind of function is this? Quadratic parabola. And then it gives you a minimum value for x, and your y turning points are also available there. Good. So that's just so that you know how to do that. Now the next question, they also ask us to do until correct till 2 decimal places, but I see now this is not a quadratic equation. However, it is called a exponential equation. But if I try and go with my grade 11 work, and I see if I prime factorize 9, I don't get the bases the same. So therefore, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to go and use the logarithmic function. So if I can just convert that one to writing it as log, what is our answer going to be? How are you going to write it? So x is equals to log of 6 and 900 there. I can punch this into my calculator and I have my answer right there. Okay. Any questions up until this stage, grade 11? Now 1.5, you could have done it with the K method, no? Or I'm going to do it without the K method. The K method will simplify it a little bit, but I'm going to do it without that. Any questions? Yeah. So what we can do here is we're going to say the square root of 2 minus x square root of 2 minus x is equals to x squared minus x minus 2 over the square root of 2 minus x. Alright, so what you can do here, you can do, technically it's most like this, so you can do cross multiplication. Yeah? And 2's of the same surds multiplied with each other is just going to be what? 2 minus x is equals to x squared minus x minus 2. Then I take all my terms to the one side, so that's going to be 0. X squared, then it's going to be minus x, that means it brings me to minus 2x, or negative 2x, negative 2x minus 2 plus 2, so that answer is negative 2 plus the 2, sorry, it's negative 2 minus 2, so that answer is 4. So it's this 2, and then I bring that one over. Oh man, I made a mistake here. Let me just check. Okay, let's write it out. So it's x squared, I have negative x, and then we say plus x. Okay, so those two cancel out. And then negative 2 plus minus 2. Minus 2 because 2 comes from the other side. Minus 2. So that's going to be x squared minus 4. So that means x squared minus 4. And once again there we have a difference of 2 squares. And we can solve it by factorizing that difference of 2 squares. So your answer is going to be x squared minus 4. And that is called the difference between 2 squares. So we can say x plus 2 and x minus 2. So therefore x is equals to negative 2 or x is equals to 2. Alright, our next one is going to be number 1.6, the quadratic equation, the inequality. So there we have 14 minus x squared greater that's less or equals to 5x. So I'm going to take all of the terms to one side, so that becomes x squared plus 5x and minus 14. Important when you are going to factorize this in Afrikaans, né, gaan ons skryf kritiese waardes. In Engels, so what you're going to do here is you're going to say, okay, we're going to factorize this. Now if you solve it or factorize it by using the quadratic formula, you say you're struggling with that. But I know the factors is going to be 7 and 2. Alright? So it's x, it needs to be a 7 and a 2. this needs to be a positive 7 and a negative 1. Now, please don't write equals to 7 or equals to negative 7 or equals to. If you're going to write that, you need to put in CV, or let's write it out in full, critical values. No? In Afrikaans, kritische waardes. So you need to point out to that person who's marking. That you are now writing x is equals to negative 7 or x is equals to 2. Now what we have here in essence is, and we do this sometimes just to make you all understand it a little better. So there we have negative 7, we have a quadratic formula or a parabola, and the question reads, where is this, if I read it from here, where is this, no? What is that sign? Greater or equals to 0. So they are technically looking for the answers that lies here. And we can write that down as, therefore that's going to be x needs to be any value from negative infinity, right, up until negative 7, and that 7 needs to be included, union sign, and then from 2 until infinity. Okay.